Yes, mates, how's it going? My name's Lee. Welcome to the channel for another FPL video. Today we're going to be comparing Kane and Haaland. Since the Community Shield, people have been kind of deciding which one to go for, and ownership's been going up and down for each one of them. So I've been doing a bit of digging into the stats, and I'll compare them. I'll give you my opinion on them, and I hope you enjoy. Let's get straight into it. Right, okay, I'm going to start with Haaland. So I've just got a mini breakdown of his kind of minutes, expected goals. So he played 1,915 minutes last season. He made 21 starts, made 3 sub appearances. And he had an expected goals of 15.55, but actually overachieved that by 6.45. So he scored 22 goals. Same with his assists. He was expected to get 5.32, and he ended up getting 7. What's that? Can I do quick maths? 1.68 plus 1.68. So he actually achieved in both goals and assists, which shows that he's an elite finisher. You can't overlook that. I think he'll play a similar amount of minutes this season. Nah, he might play a little bit more. I think he'll play around that figure. And as I go through the presentation, I'll kind of show you a few things, and I'll kind of compare him to other different strikers as well, and you'll kind of see what I mean from there. So that's the first bit. That's the initial overview. It's currently on 47.1%. That's gone down from about 52, I think, which is just like madness. Like the Community Shield, I think his expected goals or something like 1.6 something. On another day, he bags both of those, and his ownership goes up to like 80%. Like, it's just mental. Like how one kind of almost meaningless game can sway people so much, and to go for Kane or Darwin or whatever. But anyway, I'm gonna move on. So this is some of the stats that City racked up last season. So they made 121 big chances last season. They crossed the ball 166 times. Those were successful ones, and that's important because Haaland scored like 95% of his goals from inside of the box. I think he only scored 2 or 3 outside of the box. So the fact that they were crossing the ball last season, even though they weren't a main striker side, shows a lot. And some of those might be from set pieces when they kind of do a quick 1-2, whip it into the box. But regardless, like now they've got someone to aim for. They've actually got like a clinical striker. Then straight away like that stands out for me as well. And last season they got 9 penalties. They've had at least 9 penalties for the last 3 seasons. I will be staggered if Haaland is not on penalties. It must have been part of negotiations. Like, he's got a reputation to uphold. He's known as this hot up and coming striker who scores goals. Penalties are a nice way to inflate those numbers, and it would just be mental if he's not on that. And surely he has to be on them, surely. Anyway, he has a 92.86 successful penalty conversion rate, which shows he's good from penalties. So straight away, if he gets them, he's going to score 9 times out of 10 basically. And then just a quick stat at the bottom. They scored 99 goals in 38 games, which is an average of 2.1 per 90. With Sterling and Jesus going, I think Haaland's goals will basically replace those. I don't think they will score many more than that. But with those two going, I think he's going to come in and he's going to replace kind of the goals that they've lost. So don't expect them to score 120 goals, because that's just not going to happen. They might hit 100. I think Haaland might score more than Jesus and Sterling combined, but it just depends on fitness. Like you looked at his minutes last season, it was similar the season before. He might have played a little bit more. He does have a few injuries, and that's something you need to be wary of. Right here now, this is just a mental kind of table. I think he could be in for some serious holes this season. Haaland, yeah, stupid pun, but I couldn't resist. I'm sorry, mate. So the table on the left is the number of goals in each game. So that's scored once in a game, twice in a game, 3 or more. So he scored 11 times at least once, 22 times at least twice, and 2 times 3 or more times. So 68.6% of the time is more than likely to get 2 goals than he has 1 goal. That is just insane, and that's based on about 77, 80 appearances, give or take a few, depending on which kind of statistics you look at. And then the table on the right is how he does it in the opening 5 games for each of the last 3 seasons. A little caveat for the first one: he only joined in January, so those are just the first 5 games he played for Dortmund. So we've got 9 returns in 1920, 7 assists in 2021, and 11 assists in 21-22. So he's a quick starter and he's explosive. He could be in for some serious holes this season, and I would just keep your eye on it and try and time it at the right times. And he might be one to start with as opposed to Kane, who's supposedly a slow starter. Just something to keep your eye on, and it might kind of sway you in that kind of way. So the closest comparison I could get was Jesus. He played in the City side. He's got a similar amount of minutes to last season, 1878 compared to Haaland's 1900. They've got a similar shot accuracy, so they get the ball on target about half the time. But the main difference is the conversion rates. Like it's almost double what Jesus is. I mean, like, I know they're supposedly a Bundesliga tax, but the amount of chances City create, if he can convert even 25% of those, he might get 4 shots a game. Against some of the weaker sides, he might get a goal in that. He might get a couple of goals in a game. I mean, 37 shots on target, and he's got 22 goals. Mental, mate. Absolutely mental. So the conversion rate is just his overall conversion rate of his total shots. Like that's obviously not his conversion rate for his shots on target, because that would be 60%, give or take. I just thought that was just a really mental kind of thing to look at. And like the closest comparison I could find, a striker for City, like, I know he played on the right wing sometimes, but you'd probably classify him as some kind of forward. And this is the closest comparison I could make in terms of positioning. So this is Haaland from last season compared to Aguero of 1920. So that's the heat map. Haaland on the left, Aguero on the right. Aguero that season scored 16 goals and averaged about 3 shots a game. The stats haven't changed that much in those time frames. So over the last 3 seasons, the main striker hasn't really had many more shots than that, or they've not had many more shots on target as a side for the last 3 seasons. So I'd expect something around the similar amount. They tend to have about 17 shots a game, 6 shots on target, and the main striker tends to get about 3.5 to 4. But the main difference is Aguero wasn't on penalties. I think Haaland will. Like I said, for the last 3 seasons, they've had at least 9 penalties. So if you got 16 goals from open play plus the 9, you might be looking at 25 goals a season for Haaland. I don't think he'll get that many because of his injury record. I think he'll get about 20 to 22, something like that. Something else you notice from the heat map as well is that they both drift off to the opposite footed side. So Haaland drifts over to the right. I assume that would be so he can cut inside on his left foot. Same with Aguero on that side as well. Something else you notice is, you can't quite see it because my big head's in the way, is Haaland comes back for more set pieces. That might be a defensive thing from Dortmund. I expect him to be on the centre circle for set pieces. I think they will try and break quickly. I can see Edison going for that one ball over the top. I think they will clip the ball in behind. If they're defending set pieces, just straight away hit him fast. And he's got the pace, he's got the power, he's got great movement off the ball, and you've seen before, he's a clinical finisher. I think they'll score quite a few goals from counter-attacking this season. Really fast breaks, a bit like Liverpool used to do, and just try and smash teams straight from the off. And yeah, scary, mate. Right, on to Harry Kane. I'm not going to talk about Harry Kane too much because he's a known quantity. So his minutes, he always plays a lot of minutes. He very rarely misses games, Harry Kane, and he's currently owned by 26.3% of overall teams. He had an expected goals of 20.13, but he only scored 17 goals. This is the first time since he came into the Premier League he's had a negative expected goal ratio, if you want to put it that way. He has always overachieved his expected goals, but there's a little caveat in that as well. I think Jamie Piggott put a tweet out a while ago comparing his expected goals per 90 under Nuno and under Conte. Under Nuno it was about 0.32, I think. Under Conte it's about 0.68. That's the highest he's had, bar one season where he got 0.75. I think he'll score absolutely loads of goals this season. He looks super sharp. He looks in great shape. Like everyone's seen the images of him being put through his paces, being sick on the sidelines. I think he's going to have a monster season, and I would seriously consider him. Yeah, scary, mate. His assists as well. I mean, he's like, considering how poor he was at the beginning of the season last season, and he still gets 17 goals and 9 assists. He didn't score his second goal until December. It's just crazy, mate. So since December, he scores another 15 goals. He gets 9 assists on top of that. Ends with one of the highest FPL points of the season, just under the 200-point barrier. I think he'll break 200 points this season. I think he's going to be scary. I think if you can time his fixtures right, I think you could be in for some serious points. Right, everyone thinks Kane is a slow starter, and you need to almost write last season off under Nuno, they were just terrible going forward. And I think first 5 games, I think they had some tough games as well. I would almost write that season off. Besides that, 2021, 5 goals, 6 assists. 1920, 3 goals, 1 assist, so on and so forth. Like, he's not a slow starter. He's just average. But by the 2021 season, where he got 11 in returns, I mean, I think that was against Southampton. Did he get 1 goal and 4 assists in 1 game or something like that? And they won 5-2 against Southampton. That's just one of those games. Pre-season, he's currently got 5 goals and 1 assist in 4 games. He's looking super sharp. And yeah, I think he's just going to come off to an absolute flyer. But the main question is, it all comes down to the fixtures. Who's got better fixtures? You can see green fixtures are good, red fixtures are bad, grey are kind of in between, and underneath each one of those is the predicted points from Fantasy Football Fix and the total points that they're expected over those 6 game weeks from that. So you can see that I would probably argue Haaland's got the better fixtures as an overall thing, because they both got West Ham, they both got Forest, and they both got another newly promoted side. So they both Haaland has Bournemouth and Kane has Fulham. So then you're kind of comparing Southampton, Chelsea and Wolves to, let me work it out, Newcastle, Palace and Villa. Which ones are the better sides? Kane's got 2 home games out of those. Haaland's only got 1. But you can't deny that the total points overall from those 6 game weeks is significantly higher for Haaland. It all kind of boils down to how many transfers you want to book in. And like I said before, everyone thinks Kane's a slow starter. Like he's got a decent record against those sides. Against Southampton, 11 goals, 8 assists in 18 games. Chelsea's the only one where he's got a poor record, 6 goals and 2 assists in 20 games. Wolves, 4 goals in 8 games. Forest, 1 goal in 3 games, but 2 of those is when he was playing for Millwall back in the day, like he went on loan to them. So 2 of those were in the Championship, and he scored 1 goal in those. Against West Ham, he's got 11 goals and 4 assists in 20 games. And Fulham, 6 goals in 5 games. So he's got a good record against them all. And Haaland is this unknown Bundesliga, potentially tax kind of player. He's the riskier one, you would say. But City have so many shots, and he's got such a good conversion rate. The guy's lethal. Sure, he's going to score at some point. So it all kind of boils down to, who do you want? Who do you want to choose? I'm picking Haaland. I initially had Kane. But as I was kind of planning, I felt I was booking too many transfers in, and I was basically rotating Kane and Haaland in and out of my rotations, rotated transfers over the 3 or 4 game weeks, and that's all well and good, but you don't know what's going to come up. If you get an injury, you're already -4, like red cards, suspensions, anything like that. Like, I would try not to book in too many transfers. I think it's better to pick one and just stick with it. Stick with it for 3 or 4 game weeks and see how it turns out. I do like the option of starting with Haaland and moving to Kane in game week 3, because City have got Newcastle and Spurs have got Wolves. I think any kind of Spurs player is a better captaincy asset compared to Salah and any of the City boys. That's just my personal opinion. It depends what you want. Hopefully this has been helpful. If it has, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. My name's Lee. Have a good day. Peace and love.